like it's something that's a little bit unfair to the Eagles. When you lose a offensive coordinator and a quarterbacks coach, a little bit more than a hangover in terms of the injuries that have added up there. I think they're just trying to figure it out because the rest of the league is caught up to the RPO, and now the offense needs to really sort itself out in terms of what they can be.
Woody Page, what do you need to see from the Eagles, and what do you think they need to see from Carson Wentz?
Well, I need to see a better offensive line play. Wentz hasn't played the entire season yet. He's tied for first in number of times being sacked. That would be 12. I think Clinton's right. They need to get the ball down the field more, but that's because he's got no time in the backfield. He's having to run actually more than he should coming off an ACL. The other thing I want to see is I think Big Wood is saying that Smallwood should be playing. At running back, they're talking about having to have somebody that can give them a running game. Well, he's averaged 6 yards in his limited opportunities, and I think he should get that opportunity tonight. They got to get the ball more to the tight end, and defensively, I think that they're doing okay there. But do you realize, Tony, that they have not scored more than 23 points this year? First time in 20 years they haven't scored 24 points.
You said they have to get the ball to the tight end. Ertz has had 10 receptions, 100 yards the last 2 weeks. That's some great tight end play that we haven't seen in a while. Frank Isola, what do you need to see from the Eagles tonight? What do they need to see from Wentz?
You know, Clinton talked about a Super Bowl hangover. Not only is it a little bit of that, but it's also a new quarterback. The quarterback that's playing didn't lead you to the Super Bowl. He's got his own issue. He's trying to come back from a major knee injury, and you could tell it's going to take him a couple of weeks. You know, 12 times last season they scored 23 or more points. So there's been a major issue with the offense. And when you talk about running the ball, especially now with Jay Ajayi out of the lineup, the weather tonight in New Jersey not supposed to be good because that could impact obviously both teams, but certainly the Eagles. They're going to have to run the ball a lot more.
Jackie McMullen.
You know, you mentioned something, Frank, and I think it's so true. Torn ACLs are a fact of the life in the NFL and in professional sports, and we just take it for granted now. Oh, yeah, you have a torn ACL. Yep. You'll be back. You'll be fine. Yeah. And, you know, it just doesn't work that way, and I think we're seeing a little bit of that. The numbers on third down tell the story for Carson Wentz since he came back. You know what his QBR is on third downs, Tony? It's 8, not 80. It's 8. And it was 92 last season. So let's give this guy some time to get back where he belongs. It's not, and it is the offensive line. He is getting sacked, but those guys are also dropping passes. Yeah. So there's a lot of things going on. None of them are particularly good.
What do you want to add something?
Yes, I should. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the red zone problems are what is most serious about that offense, because last year they would score at a percentage of 64 when they got to the red zone. This year in the last 2 games it's been 33%, 3 out of 9. That's not what they were doing last year.
On the other side of the field, the Giants offense, which they've told us they feel like they can score just on every play. Although they haven't elected to do that. A little bit of an interesting maneuver there. If you think you could, maybe you should try doing that. Middle of the pack offensively, as you know, Frank Isola. What do you expect to see from them, and what do you expect to see from Beckham after the last week he's done and all the talking he's done?
It's a quick turnaround. There's been so much controversy. You know, the Giants tend to think that they turned everything around last week, even though they lost. Tonight, it has a chance to get really ugly at home. The fans are starting to turn a little bit on Eli Manning, and with everything that happened with Odell Beckham, if they don't play well, and, you know, you talk about a must-win game in October, and I understand the division's not that good, the Giants better win tonight if they want to have a season.
So there we go. Frank set the table for us. A must-win game for the New York Football Giants. Jackie, you agree?
Well, of course. They're 1-4. Everything's a must-win. You got to do something here.
Okay.
You got Beckham sort of passively, aggressively questioning your quarterback, who, by the way, is having great percentage rates, but he's dinking and dunking, and you've got this great deep threat down the field, and you're not using him. So they've got their own set of problems.
D.Y.?
You've also got a coach that is telling you that a rookie running back is the leader of your team and pointing to the guy on the other team as something to go after. This is a mess. I don't like the way Shermer handled this at all.
So you thought that was a big deal as well.
I thought that
yesterday's panel kind of overreacted to that. You all saw it as a shot at Beckham or maybe Eli Manning. I mean, a shot at Beckham. I mean, all he was praising his running back, Saquon Barkley, telling him, hey, you've had a great start to a career. You're going in the right place. I don't know why that's a shot at everybody else.
If he wanted to actually state what he wanted to say to his players as a leader that needed to step up,
you
just
can
say
praise people without giving a shot at everybody else. Clinton, great job in the first segment of the show. 11 points. I mean, who cares about everybody else?
Are you taking a shot at me?
We'll move on. Jimmy Butler. Let's do an investigation here. An around-the-horn investigation into the Jimmy Butler mess. Rachel Nichols says she got the call that Butler wanted to do the interview the night before. Then the practice with the cursing and the challenging of everybody and taking the subs and beating the starters. and then that planned media availability. Meanwhile, today, no practice. It was canceled without any explanation. No media availability. It was canceled without any explanation. And a report from Shams that Butler called a players-only meeting. He told his teammates he'd compete with them. Let's start there, Jackie McMullen. What do you make of all this?
The whole thing is so incredibly orchestrated. Like, did Rachel and Jimmy Butler play a game of solids and strikes afterwards? Did you see that? They had the pool table with the cues crossed. The whole thing is so packaged. And, I mean, Rachel did a fantastic job in that interview. You cancel practice today, I guess, because I always liked that Jimmy Butler was forthright. I liked that he used to challenge guys. That was one of my favorite things about him. But I don't like it when you fling open the doors and tell us all about it. I like it a lot better when you do it behind closed doors, and I'm guessing that's why the Timberwolves said, you know what, today the doors are shut for everybody. I'm guessing.
So you don't think, and you use the word forthright. Do you believe Jimmy was forthright the way he scheduled media availability and then went in and had this practice the way he did?
Well, I don't think it's right the way he did it. How can anybody think it's right? But he's controlling his own story, which is the norm today for high-profile NBA players, and that started with LeBron James.
Frank Isola, your view of it?
Yeah, at the end of practice, he just showed up and then, won in a scrimmage. That's really big of you after everyone else has been running all practice and they're probably tired. Here's a little thing about the NBA really quickly. A lot of teams will say they're not practicing. That's because they don't want media availability. I'll bet you the Timberwolves did practice. I like Jimmy Butler. I admire his story. He plays hard. But Jimmy Butler loves to talk about honesty. He's not being honest. This is all about money. He hates the fact that Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, he looks at it, they're not as good as I am, and yet you're only offering me a contract that would be 4 years, and they're getting 5. This idea that he doesn't like them, if they stepped up and paid Jimmy Butler, he would be okay with those guys.
You think? You think it hasn't gone past that point already? You think that this relationship is salvageable in some way, Frank?
It's all about money. All about money.
Yates, how about you?
I don't think we needed an explanation. All you had to do was log on to Twitter and see exactly why they had to shut it down today in order to batten down the hatches and figure out what was going on with their franchise. I mean, Jimmy Butler is the same guy who said he wouldn't mind going to the Knicks and the Clippers, but at the same time he's talking about the fact that he wants to win. So which one is it? What it proved yesterday to me was that he somehow simultaneously managed to point out that they, A, can't trade him because they need him, and B, indicate why nobody else would want him because he's going to come and blow up your franchise if it goes wrong. It was very odd. They needed a day to get it together.
So you don't think this worked for Butler at all?
No, I mean, I think he made his point, but I don't think it's actually going to be effective to get out of town.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think he's trying to use whatever leverage he has with a year left on his contract. He saw what Paul George went through. He wants to try and determine his own destiny here, go where he wants to go, when he wants to go, and he wants to go now. He doesn't want to be with the T-Wolves. And canceling practice today, Frank may be right. They don't want the media to show up, but they don't want the players to show up because that franchise is dysfunctional now because of what he's doing, and they're just trying to be like the Cowardly Lion in Wizard of Oz. That's a coward move.
They're dysfunctional. That's true. I don't think anyone's debating that. How do you regain function here if you're the Timberwolves, Jackie McMullen?
Very simple, Tony. Win. And you can win with Butler. They can all hate each other, and you can still win games. I've seen it happen.
So you're not trading Butler after all this. You're saying his
I'm
grand
trading Butler
orchestration
when I think I have a good deal. I'm not
I saw the
letting
same
Jimmy
question
Butler
to you.
And when it comes to basketball, Tom Thibodeau and Jimmy Butler are on the same page. They're both cut from the same cloth. They're both ultra competitive. This is about the owner and the amount of money that Jimmy Butler wants.
We'll move on. Headline number 3, diagnosis knee sprain. Tua Tagovailoa practicing through it. Nick Saban giving all indications he's going to start this Saturday versus Missouri. Woody, is Saban playing this right?
I would normally react to that by saying, rest the guy for a week. You're playing against Missouri. The Tigers do have a good defense, so they're going to probably be tested more than they have all season, except they're favored by 28, so you figure they're going to win by 35. I would normally say rest him. But I will trust Saban and his staff in this appraisal of his situation. If they think he can go out there with a brace on the leg and continue to play and play at least maybe a half, there's no doubt in my mind that I shouldn't go against that. I'm not there.
Lynn Yates?
I also trust it from a simple strategic standpoint. It's what he said. It's the best defense they've played so far. If you don't believe that your backup can come in and give you the same chance, I realize they're favored by a lot, but the reason is the starter's playing, and that is Tua. So if I'm Saban, I'm not making any risk just for the sake of, proving something about Hurts. Yeah, you put your guy in until he can't play, and I think he's dealing with this.
Tua has yet to play in the fourth quarter of a game this season. So I think the way Nick Saban's looking at it, I trust him. I don't think he would put him out there thinking he's not ready to play. He'll probably play a half. And remember something else. Right now, he's the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. So Tagovailoa, he wants to be in that game because he knows what's waiting for him down the street right here in New York in December.
It has nothing to do with where the Heisman ceremony is, Frank Isola. You don't have to tell us it's in New York. Go ahead, Jackie McMullen.
Yeah, but he is right about one thing. Tua's numbers are comic book numbers. Like his QB rating is 98, his offensive efficiency 98.8%, 18 touchdowns, 0. I mean, you guys know all the stats. He's been unbelievable. He hasn't missed a practice. Why would you sit someone that hasn't missed a practice?
Well, then let me ask you this, Jackie. I read earlier this week, USA Today, that it's a similar problem for Alabama. Every year, they don't play close games, and then maybe when they get in one versus Clemson in the finals, it's unpredictable. This was Dan Wolken who wrote this one this week.
Sure.
Any credence to that?
You know, I suppose there might be some truth to that. It reminds me of the UConn women when they were just going to steamroll everybody, and all of a sudden they got into a close game and they lost. But I ask you, what do you want them to do about it? Lose games on purpose? Make the games close on purpose? This is a problem
Clinton,
I would
you have
love
an
to
idea
live
of
with.
it?
Yeah, if you've got to go back 2 years to prove your point, when in fact last year in the national title game, it was a close game and they won it, well then you're not making any sense whatsoever. That game was in Atlanta, by the way, Frank. I was there.
Woody.
Oh, there we go.
Well, they are facing competition every day in practice. Their backup team would probably be number 4 in the country, so they're in those situations, but there's no way in the world that they need to be in a close game. Why? Win all your games.
Yates and McMullen, close game. Woody, Frank, some work to do. Fires
Frank, the day after he gets the trophy, he's coming to Colorado on vacation.
I'm in New York, by the way.
What do you mean it's not working out, Craig?